Hey, what's going on, guys? gdoggcasey here with another Final Fantasy XIV Let's Play video. This video is going to be specifically, I was going to say like specially, but that's not a word, specifically for the level 35 and level 40 Dragoon quests. Now, I may have said this in a previous episode, I definitely do not recommend doing what I'm doing and like skipping the level 35 quest until you get to level 40 and then doing them both at the same time. Only because you end up sort of gimping yourself a bit, because if we click right here, we can see we're actually going to get a new ability, which is a new jump that is probably going to be pretty useful for the Dragoon, but I just went a whole 5 levels without it. Now, obviously, you will survive without it, and I have done a bunch of dungeon runs, and nobody's really noticed I didn't have it. Probably mostly because there's only like one dungeon that I would even be high enough level to use it in anyway. But it's better for you to do them as soon as you can unlock them. But just for me, because of the way I'm structuring these episodes, I feel like it's a little weird to do just one story quest and then, or one class quest, sorry, and then move back to the story. It's just a little bit disjointed. I would much prefer to have one episode where I can do both of them at the same time. So, you know, that said, don't do as I do unless you're doing your own Let's Play series, in which case I think it's a better idea to do it this way. But, you know, when you're playing on your own, definitely do the quest as soon as you can unlock them, because you get access to certain things that you probably want right away as opposed to waiting for them. But that being said, we are here speaking to Alberic in Coerthas West, or Central Highlands, sorry, not Western. And we are going to be doing this class quest as well as the next one. So, hopefully it'll be some good stuff. Let's go ahead and accept it. So it is pleasing to see how readily the dragon stirs within you. You show great potential, wee guy. A potential that may well prove the difference between victory and defeat. Estinian is no ordinary dragoon. Even when set against the legendary Azures of ages past, the man is considered second to none. Such is his prowess, in fact, that the day he was chosen by the Eye, it was proclaimed that Haldreth the Dragon's Eye had been reborn. I mean not to disparage your skills, wee guy, but to pursue Estinian in your current state would be tantamount to suicide. As promised, I shall train you in the way of the Dragoon, that you may face Estinian as an equal. Before we commence, however, it is only fitting that you are edified regarding our origins. It all began a millennium past when our forebears resided in the southern plains in humble circumstances. The Fury, impressed by the spirit of our ancestors, decided it was meet that she make them her own. Okay, I don't understand that. So, did she appear before Haldreth's sire, a man of courage and integrity named Thordan, and bade him lead her people to the Promised Land, to what would become the great nation of Ishgard. Their journey brought them to a wide chasm, whereupon Thordan and his people set to building a bridge. It was then that a dark shadow descended upon them. The great worm Nidhogg, heedless of his own safety, Thordan fearlessly charged at the colossal beast. Alas, he was pushed into the chasm by one of his own, a man seduced by the worm, and fell to his death. Every time I see it spelled that way, I feel like I have to like accentuate the Y, like worm, but it's probably just worm. Yeah. Taking up his slain sire's lance, Haldreth hurled himself at Nidhogg, even as tears streamed down his face. The confrontation ended when the young man, his hand guided by Halone, landed a mighty thrust that prized out Nidhogg's eye. With a terrible roar of pain, the great worm took wing and fled, while jubilation reigned below. Ishgard's priceless relic is none other than the eye taken from Nidhogg that day. It is a veritable wellspring of dragon power. Even so removed from its owner, it can exert control over the hearts of men. Haldreth himself felt its malign influence, but his love of justice brooked no corruption, and he prevailed over the power, claiming it for his own. And so it was that the first Azure Dragoon was born. Being derived from our foe, the power of the dragon is a thing to be loathed. But as Haldreth proved to us all, so long as our hearts burn with justice, we need not fear being taken in its thrall. But what is justice precisely? Justice assumes many shapes and forms, wee guy, and none can say that one is greater than another. So long as you hold fast to your beliefs and stay true to yourself, you leave no room for the power of the dragon to master you. But enough of history. Let us return our attention to the present. A knight by the name of Sir Brucemont will see to the next stage of your training. Seek him out at Witch Drop. Alright, where's Witch Drop? Is it... It's up there. Okay, so we got quite the run. Actually, no we don't. What you talking about, Willis? We're just gonna teleport. So we still haven't done much in this area, but we are getting pretty close. The main story is going to take us here soon. I did attune to this crystal off camera. Oh, I totally, like, now's a good time to talk about sort of what I've been doing off camera here. I did, as you can see, level up to level 40 for a couple reasons. One, so that in this episode I can do both quests at once. Two, because Skydell was kind enough to send us some brand new gear that you can see here. This is the, well, I'll show you like the actual set as well. All high quality stuff, level 38. The jewelry is all high quality, level 39. And we have a level 40 mithril lance here, also high quality. So big thanks to Skydell for providing this stuff. For those of you who do not have somebody who is just making you awesome gear, you do not need this kind of thing in order to progress through the story. It's all... You know, it makes things a little bit easier, but not enough to the point where it's a really big deal. If you are... The only time when I think gear is a big deal is if you are a tank or a healer and you're doing dungeons. You know, it's a bigger deal to have... Okay, I think I'm going to have to drop down here. Hurrah! As long as we don't pull anything, we'll be fine. Okay, good. Hopefully this is what I had to do. Nope, you know what? Oh, yes it is. Okay, perfect. I thought for a minute we might have done the wrong thing. Alright, hello Bruce Mott. So the adventurer seeks to become a dragoon. Ha! Sir Albrecht speaks of legends and chosen ones, but I would see you prove yourself in a more practical fashion. With your lance, defend yourself. You want me to kill this thing? Probably could have canceled that instead of ran out of it. That's something I need to get better at, is using my my interrupt. But there we go. Is that all I had to do? You have some skill, I will give you that. And with the glow of your soul, Crystal, perhaps Sir Albrecht was not wrong about you after all. Now, return to him. Your training here is complete. Oh, thank you very much for forcing me out here. Whatever, we'll just run around. But yeah, I've spent some time leveling up Wee Guy a little bit more so that I would be better prepared here, because it would really suck if I, out of nowhere, at the beginning of an episode, I get level locked out of a quest. So I'm going to try my best not to let that happen. We'll be fine. Just fine. You guys can get a good look at this place because we're going to be seeing quite a bit of it later on. This is the next central hub where a lot of our quests are going to take us through and around here. There's a ton of side quests around. I was thinking about doing some of them. I haven't done them yet. I might. I don't know. It's hard to explain because I have two characters on the go. It's weird because I feel like anytime I spend playing this game while I'm not recording, it's probably better to spend that time on Creechador because he is so much more beefed up in terms of all the other classes. Like, he's way further ahead than Wee Guy is. But, on the other hand, there are some things that I still need to do in the background for Wee Guy in order to make sure that, you know, I'm going to be ready for the later game when we start to get there. For example, like, cross-class skills. I still haven't looked into it yet, which are the best cross-class skills for the Marauder. I'm really loving Bloodbath. I feel like I have had this conversation, but I can't fully remember right now. But I love Bloodbath. I love Internal Release. A couple other ones that I'm using, well, we can just look at them here. Oh, at level 40 you get another slot. That is actually amazing. I'm going to put Second Wind back in there, and now it's back on my bar. So, I'm really liking these 4. There's an argument for Featherfoot. It increases your evasion, so if you end up pulling a lot of enemies, maybe it'll help. Haymaker, after evading an attack, probably not going to be too useful unless it was in conjunction with Featherfoot. And for the Marauder, Fracture is a skill that I just dislike. Even though it does damage over time, we have a damage over time already, so no real need for it. Bloodbath and Mercy Stroke are both much better. We don't need to increase enmity, and we don't necessarily need defensive skills, because when it comes to dungeons, we shouldn't be getting hit anyway, so... Alright, Alberic, we did your bidding. The soul of the dragon grows ever stronger within you, wee guy. Clearly, your trial was a rousing success. I need only observe your crystal to know as much. Yes, though you have only just begun to walk the path of the dragoon, it is clear you possess the talent to become Estinian's equal. Go forth and make the powers you have obtained your own. When the time is right, we shall proceed with your training. Is that really all it was for the level 35 quest? Alright, well, we get a new skill called Elusive Jump. Your inner dragon grows stronger. Sweetness. Okay, so I'm going to be moving this over. Execute a jump to the location 15 yams behind you, while removing heavy or bind effects. Cool. That's pretty sweet. It's not going to be often that we're going to need this, but it's pretty cool. It's on a gigantic cooldown, 3 minutes. Holy crap. So I probably almost will never use that, actually. So, whatever. It still looks neat, though. Unfading Skies, level 40 quest. This time we're going to get Spine Shatter Dive. Delivers a jumping attack with a potency of 170. It has a stun as well. 2-second stun. So you can actually use it as well as your leg sweep. So an additional stun is going to be pretty good. You grow ever stronger, and I speak more than just the flesh. Aye, you are slowly but surely realizing your potential as an Azure Dragoon. It is heartening to look upon, though I must confess that my presiding feeling is one of relief. You must understand, the mere thought that the Eye would choose an outsider, one who ill comprehends the threat posed by the dragons, filled me with the gravest of misgivings. Yet you have... but I shall say no more, lest flattery impede your improvement. Now, during your last lesson, I enlightened you regarding the origins of dragoons. You will recall how Haldrath heroically triumphed over the great worm Nidhogg, and Ishgard came into possession of the Eye. Tell me, wee guy, do you believe that these events truly transpired, or are you inclined to think of them as fairy tales? I ask you this because few folk have seen dragons in the flesh besides we Ishgardians, and most would as soon dismiss them as products of the imagination. Alas, dragons are no less real than you or I, and Nidhogg perhaps the most real of all. In the course of its history, Ishgard has suffered the creature's wrath on 8 separate occasions. Each time the great worm rouses, the blood of countless Ishgardians is spilled. Let us revisit the past once more, wee guy. The time is 20 summers past, and the place Dravania. After a century in slumber, Nidhogg awakened once more to resume his reign of terror. Entire villages were razed to the ground, their inhabitants reduced to smoldering ash. Sensing the great worm's unbridled rage, others of his kind began to rouse, and in such numbers as to blot out the sun with their wings. A deep foreboding darkness swept over Ishgard. Raging infernos, painting the belly of the sky an angry red, the agonized screams of innocence fading into deathly science. In my station as the Azure Dragoon, I was there through it all, bore witness to all the horrors. But there was no time to offer even a silent prayer. Nidhogg lingered in one place only long enough to lay it to waste, and when he took wing, so too did I pursue him, a man possessed. This game of cat and mouse continued for what seemed an eternity before I found myself face to face with the great worm. The battle unfolded in a tiny settlement at the edge of Coerthus, raging on for 3 days and 3 nights, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. Remaining on my feet by sheer force of will, I realized that it must end now, else it shouldn't end well. Marshalling my last ounce of strength, I wagered all on a single thrust. My lance struck home, bearing deep in the ruin of my opponent's empty eye socket. Yet before I could withdraw my weapon, the worm lashed out wildly in its agony, dealing a blow that left me sprawled upon the scorched earth, nigh insensate. In that instant, I thought myself surely doomed, but Halone was not finished with me. Having lost the taste for battle, Nidhogg let loose a blood-curdling roar before fleeing to the sky. The battle was over. While I did not perish from my injuries, they rendered my body unfit to bear the power of the dragon, and I was the Azure Dragoon no more. Lying bedridden, my thoughts wandered to all the innocent lives that had been lost, the people I had failed to protect. That last conflict with the dragons of Dravania left countless orphans in its wake. Estinian is one of them, the sole survivor of... countless orphans? Okay, yeah. So Estinian is an orphan from Dravania. The sole survivor of Ferndale, the final village to suffer Nidhogg's wrath. With none left to care for him, I did the only thing I could. I took Estinian as mine own son, instructing him in the way of the dragoon when he was of an age to learn. Yet I would not have you think me noble. My actions were born not of compassion, but of guilt. My guilt at having failed him. But alas, I have also failed him as a father. For what manner of man did I bring him up to be? A thief who would endanger the life of every one of his countrymen. Aye, you heard me right. All of Ishgard may suffer for his crime. Though we know little and less of the minds of dragons, it is conceivable that the disturbance surrounding his stolen eye will rouse Nidhogg to awaken once more. That his kin have already stirred from their slumber serves as fair warning of that. Time is not on our side. Fortunately, it would seem you are more than ready to embark on your next trial. Make your way to Witchdrop, where the Knight Histian awaits your arrival. My nation is depending on you, wee guy. Well, that's quite the story. Quite the story indeed, Alberic. So this guy once felled Nidhogg. I don't think we have heard of Nidhogg yet in this game, on this character. Maybe he mentioned it the first time I was here, but can't fully remember. So we're going to go back there, so we're going to go ahead and teleport again, just to save some time. Alright, let's go ahead and head over there. We're probably going to have to jump into that ravine again. But our character has definitely seen dragons, right? Like, in some of the dungeons we've done. And there's all these, like, dragon-kin or dragon-like enemies. So, it's not like we're not going to believe in dragons. But in the context of his story, like, do we believe that one man jumped and ripped Nidhogg's eye out with a single thrust? And believe in the fact that Nidhogg is this gigantic dragon power that comes and goes from time to time? He kind of sounds like a primal. Please don't pull anything. Please don't pull anything. Okay, we're good. I'm just gonna eat this. I don't know. We have no reason not to believe it. When we live in a world of Final Fantasy, then, you know, all the things we've seen, who knows? We've seen primals. By all means, there could be a Nidhogg. You are the one who would aspire to be Azure Dragoon? Why, you are not even of Ishgard. If you truly possess the power that Sir Alberic sees in you, then prove to me with your lance. On guard! A Mightling Straggler. You would have me kill a Mightling Straggler. Oh, okay, there's a couple of them. Whoa. Oh, okay, there's a whole bunch of them. Okay. Well, let's get the Stragglers. Hit the wrong button there and mess up my combo, that's okay. And we pulled this dude. Just take this guy out as well. We are taking a bit of damage, so we'll use Second Wind. It's very nice to be able to rely on Second Wind again. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. When we hit level 38, we got a new skill here called Disembowel, and it combos with Impulse Drive. And some people in the comments had mentioned that eventually we will get a new combo, and it works kind of like this, where it lowers the enemy's resistance to piercing weapons, which obviously we use a piercing weapon. It's not very useful so far, I've noticed, unless you're going to be fighting a boss. I think if you're fighting a boss or basically any other enemy that takes a long time to kill, it could be useful because it gives you a bit of a damage boost. But I have my initial combo, True Thrust, Vorpal Thrust, Full Thrust as one, and then if I'm fighting a boss or someone who has a lot of hit points, I'll move into Impulse Drive and then Disembowel, and there'll probably be another one later, and then I'll go back to the beginning and do it again. So it's pretty simple, and I think that's the best way to do it for now. I'll have to come back to that as things get further into the game. That strength, I have not seen its like since Estinian himself stood before me. Mayhap Sir Alberek has the right of it after all. Return and show your crystal to him. I have no doubt he will be pleased. Okay, well, if this is all we have to do once again, then I will be pleased, because we're going to have another ability that this one sounds much more useful. My problem is I have played so much Paladin that, like, the Paladin does have a spell interrupt, but it's on the global cooldown. So a lot of the times, like, you'll just execute a move and then you'll have to wait 2.5 seconds before you can cast it, and by then you're worried that you're probably not going to hit them in time, so you end up just training yourself to move out of AoEs, and I just move out of all the AoEs. But with the Dragoon, we have the abilities at our disposal to cancel them out, so I need to practice that, because as it stands right now, I'm mostly just moving out of the AoEs. Oh, I made some other UI changes. You can tell that we can't see the names of PCs out in the world anymore, unless they're part of our party. I think it just makes the game look a little more clean, you know? One of a general complaint of Final Fantasy is that the screen is really busy, and there's a whole bunch of shit everywhere, basically. So, you know, especially when you're in a dungeon and you're just seeing just everything. So that's the whole point of this UI setup, is to have things on the outskirts of the screen so that the middle of the screen is a little bit easier to look at. And doing that just helps a little bit. Alright, here we are, back at Alberek. You have passed yet another trial with flying colors, we guide. The day when you may stand before Estinian as an equal is not far off. And when that day comes, the Eye will choose you over the traitor. I have no doubt of this. But we must be patient still. For now, you must continue your training. When you can do no more on your own, seek me out once more. Alright, Spine Shatter Dive. A jumping attack. Your inner Dragoon, or Dragon, grows stronger. Once again. Alright, so 45 and 50 is what we're going to be doing the next time we come back to level up our Dragoon, but again, I mentioned it at the beginning, I do not recommend you do it that way, but I'll be doing it that way, if only to keep things kind of consistent with the videos. I would like to test out this new ability. Spine Shatter Dive. So it's a jump. So, I don't have this key set either. Hold on. Keybind. Hotbar. This one is going to be... I think I should start with Shift Mouse, and this one is going to be Control Mouse. Okay, so if I just do a normal jump, I bounce back to where I started. If I do this one, it lands me right beside him. So, and it stuns. So you can use it as a gap closer. So, you know, some of you who are new to Dragoon might have been a little bit disappointed that your first jump is not a gap closer. So it kind of seems like it would be the perfect ability to use as a gap closer, but it bounces you right back to where you started. So this one, the Spine Shatter Dive, does close the gap, and it does a stun too. So you know, it's useful in that sense. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys are enjoying. As always, leave comments down below if you have any critiques or anything you'd like to talk to me about. I try my best to respond to all of them. And that being said, I will see you in the next one.